Open if you want to walk across and work when we're done here. And reminder, no live streaming. Mike.
All right, thanks guys. Practice 9 in the books. Didn't think it was our best of our 9 practices. It was our first scrimmage, first chance to tackle live. I think you always have to be careful how you assess your team when you tackle live for the first time. You know, in my experiences as a coach, it's not pretty, and it was not pretty from a tackling standpoint. But offense is ahead of the defense, which is probably to be expected. I was a little disappointed in the energy and kind of enthusiasm and leadership of the defense. You know, there wasn't a lot of support there, and if things go bad, you know, there wasn't a guy to kind of pick them up and grab the bull by the horns and get them headed in the right direction. But I thought the kids played hard, especially early in the scrimmage. We had guys really play hard, physical, came out with the right mindset. Like I said, practiced 9 in a row with 1 day off in between the 9. So they have gotten after it. They'll get a day off tomorrow. We'll get back to work Monday. We have a long way to go to get to where we need to go. And that's nothing to do with Oregon. That's nothing to do with anybody we play. That's to do with the Georgia Bulldogs. So we got to look ourselves in the eyes as coaches and figure out what the guys we have can do the best and get them to go execute that at the best. We have good football players on this team. We didn't necessarily play with the right energy and enthusiasm across the board as a whole today. There were some good individual performances, but all in all, I think we got to have a better scrimmage next Saturday.
If you have a question, raise your hand, and we'll get a microphone to you.
Hey there, Coach Smart. Just curious on your thoughts about the running back room in particular and the young running backs such as Morrissette and Andrew Paul's performance today.
Yeah, I think anytime you talk about being able to help a team, it's probably easiest at a skill position at an early age. So when you look at the history here, we've had freshman wideouts lead our team a lot of times in receiving. And then at running back, we kind of had more of an old head, like always these 2 old guys, you know, and it's not a lack of running back being able to. We've always had more experienced backs, but these 2 young guys are different. You know, they're a little heavier, thicker, run behind their pads, and they probably don't show up best until the days like today because they're a little harder to tackle, and you don't see that in practice every day. I thought both those guys had good scrimmages. Not great, not where they need to be, not where they need to be in pass pro, but they are hard to tackle and they're thick, and I'm very pleased with where they are. Neither one of them going through the spring hurts their development in terms of, number 1, special teams, and number 2, picking up pressures. So we need them to come along because durability is always an issue at back. You know, I don't think we've been through a year here that we didn't have at least one of our top 3 backs miss a game. And if that happens, then one of those guys got to be ready to step up and play.
Raise your hands.
I guess I'll ask the obvious question. Quarterbacks are kind of big too as far as keeping 2 healthy throughout the year. How do you feel about your depth and how did those guys look today?
I would reserve judgment until I really get to watch the tape. I thought statistically Stetson had a really good day. You know, you don't know everything when you're standing behind them because you don't get to judge, you know, what was going on and watching them. I thought the offensive line did a pretty good job in the pocket. We didn't get a lot of pressure defensively, which allowed the quarterbacks to have a pretty good day. I'm very pleased with where the quarterbacks are in terms of Brock and Carson and even Gunner. Gunner made some really good plays today, and you don't get to see as much of Gunner because we do 4s in our practice. He gets reps, which is good, but he gets primary reps in the scrimmage when he gets to go out there and go with the 3s and things, and I thought he did a good job. But I have a lot of confidence in all our quarterbacks. You know, Coach Monken does a great job with those guys, and they understand what they need to do and how to get the ball to their weapons.
Yeah, Kirby, I guess I wanted to ask you about some injuries. Arian and Kendall, Milton, and a couple guys who didn't notice today, Tate, Ratledge, and Ernest Greene.
Yeah, Arian's probably the toughest one. The poor kid can't catch a break, man. He's had a injury, like right when he first got here, jumping in a long jump pit, and then he had another injury his sophomore year, you know, and he's worked so hard to get back, you know, and he gave up track this year, and he's an elite track runner, elite. And he gave that up so that he could have a successful season. He had a tough, ankle sprain and it's high ankle sprain. Don't know how long it's going to take. It is going to require surgery, but it's not broken. And we're hopeful to get him back. And he's overcome so much, and he's such a great kid. Got great family, such a positive kid, and he keeps getting tough breaks. I know that he's going to persevere that, and I think he'll bounce back when it comes to that. Tate dinged up, he's got a turf toe. It's not anything to do with his Liz Frank. Should get him back. Ernest has got a hamstring that's bothering him. It's been bothering him really for a couple of weeks now. He's had it since summer workouts. It's kind of been nagging him, and he's been able to go some and off and on, so we held him today. And Kendall Milton's got a little bit of a grade 1 hamstring, but it's nothing severe.
Hands up.
Coach, as far as the defensive line goes off, you got a lot of guys you're trying to work in now. First practice, just kind of what are you seeing there? How many guys initially do you think you may be able to use right now?
Well, we'll probably use the same amount we always use. You have to play multiple D linemen, so we would like to have enough depth to roll kind of 6 guys for those 3 interior spots, but that's going to depend on who does the best job, and we're a long way from knowing that. The young guys are coming on and flashing and showing some plays, but they don't have the physical and mental toughness to sustain, to do it over and over. They might do it one play, and it's like the next play's off the charts bad, first play's off the charts good. So Trey's trying to get enough consistency out of that room that we can play those guys. We're not where we need to be there. That's for sure.
Kirby, talking about the inside linebackers, just what did you see today? And again, you talked about the progress you want to see from the whole defense. In what areas with the inside linebackers you want to see the most growth with what's left of camp?
Well, I thought Tresman made a couple good plays. He's got to continue to stay healthy. He's been fighting a soft tissue calf strain, so he's been in and out, but he made a couple good plays today. Pop's probably been the most consistent guy in that group, and we're looking for some mental and physical toughness out of that group. There's some talented young players. Sorry flashes, but he's got to do it more consistently, and he knows that. He has some ability to make some really big flash plays, but he's got to do it, more consistently within the defense. And then Smiles got to play better too. I mean, that's a group. That group's got to step up and play better, and the defensive line's got to help them play better by keeping blockers off of them.
Kirby, you mentioned 9 practices, and I'm wondering about some of the guys that are young at wide receiver. Any of them flashing so far that have made some strides?
Dillon made some plays today. Dillon Bell made some plays today. Jackson Meeks made some plays today. If you're counting him as young, because nowadays sophomores not young. Sophomores old. 40% of our team, 35% of our team is freshmen. So, I thought Dillon Bell stepped up and made some plays. The flashes. Oscar made some plays at tight end, counting him as a receiving weapon. So those guys continue to do a good job, but we just don't have the depth at receiver. I thought Rosemary did a good job today. AD made a few plays, but we're going to have to be really good on the perimeter to be explosive. We've got good tight ends, but we've got to be good outside to complement the tight ends. And we need to get Denialin back, and we need to get Dillon Bell rolling to get where we need to get it wide out.
I think you mentioned a moment ago not seeing a lot of pass rush today. Last year you had this massive sack total. Internally, is there a program goal for how many sacks is enough to be as impactful with the pass rush as you want to be?
Again, there's not internally a goal. We don't put a sack goal. We put an effective quarterback goal. And we all know that's not fun for you guys because you want to talk sack totals. We want to talk batted balls, interceptions, knockdown, hurries. You affect the quarterback with multiple rushes. And, Robert Beal is having a quietly good camp, which is good for us. A lot of times these scrimmages get skewed. Now, last year was a outlier because of the front and the people we had. But these scrimmages get skewed because you take so many snaps. Pass rushing is an effort play. And a lot of sacks are what we call hustle sacks, effort sacks. You don't necessarily win, you give a great second effort. Well, there comes a point in the scrimmage today where they take so many snaps, nobody's fresh, and the offensive lineman stays in front of them. We didn't have, it reminded me of our old scrimmages where we didn't have great pass rush, not because we don't have pass rushers, we just didn't have the juice that we needed. And I can't say that it was like that last year, but it's been like that in years past.
Yeah, Kirby, two questions. I guess one, another injury, what's the nylon dealing with? And two, you mentioned Dillon Bell. I know he played quarterback some in high school. Just what has his development been like? What have you guys seen from him? And are you maybe not surprised, but impressed that he's starting to work his way into the rotation this early?
No, I mean he's working his way in the rotation by necessity. I mean we don't have enough depth at the position there. And Denilon's just got he hyperextended his knee before we even started camp. So he's got an injury that's lagging over from camp, but he's not. I mean he's back running. He should be back here shortly, and hopefully we can get him back healthy and get him in there competing. But it's just every year. I don't think across the country you see 4 senior wideouts. Show me where you got 4 senior wideouts. Show me where you got 2 seniors and 2 juniors, because wideouts are very similar. If they don't get the ball, they're gone. So you constantly have young players, and if they're really good, they're gone to the draft. So that's where one of our juniors is. So everything is kind of cyclical, and right now at wideout we don't have great depth, and we have a couple injuries. So those young guys are getting thrust out there, and they got to grow up. We've done it before. I mean we've had productive freshman wide receivers.
I'll try to get 3 quick ones. Malaki Starks, assignment sounds on defense, and then comparing this to G-Day, is it just apples and oranges? Because it looked like the defense was pretty strong against the ones in the spring game.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't even remember G-Day at this point, to be honest with you, Mike. I don't have a clue what happened or didn't happen, or who was there, who wasn't there, and kind of how we played. It's different today because the mindset is not air it out, throw. The mindset is do what we do. Let's find out what we got. Let's be physical and be tough with it. Malachi's doing a good job, as are our freshman DBs. I think our freshman DBs are going to be good football players. That doesn't mean I'm saying they're going to go out there and start, but our freshman DBs are going to help us. All those guys have shown a sign of, man, he's going to be okay. He's going to be able to help us. He's going to be a good player. Eric Stokes didn't do a lot his freshman year. And it's just one of those things. Those guys got to grow into the position. Nowadays, your freshmen are your backups because you don't have the depth, and it really shouldn't be where they're 2s, but most of our guys are 2s, in some cases 1s. But Malaki having spring has helped him. He and Ja'Cory are both coming along really well.
Yeah, hey Kirby, I was wondering how your second-year cornerbacks, Kamari Lassiter and Nyland Greene, are developing, and how they went out there and played today. I know replacing Derion Kendrick is a need for y'all.
Yeah, both those kids are smart, savvy, tough, physical. I love the way they tackle and play. I thought Nyland had some good physical tackles for him. Kamari is one of the best tacklers on the team. So it's a lot more about covering at that position than it is tackling. And Kamari did some nice things, gave up some plays. He had a really good day the other day where he made a couple plays on fade balls on AD. And, Kamari's fighting his tail off for that spot and to help us in some special team spots. But I'm very pleased with the growth of those guys. We won't get through the year with just those 3, though. We're going to have 4 and 5 corners to survive the season.
Coach, I want to throw 3 special teams questions at you. I guess first of all, how many of the young guys are showing that they can possibly help you on some of the different teams, punter competition, and who are you looking at returning kicks right now?
Yeah, everybody's up for grabs, just like I say every year, for punt and kickoff return. Kenny Kieras, mainly on the kickoff, Ladd, Kieras, and Dom, and Muse on the punt return. So those 4 are all back there competing for it. We'll put the one back there that can give us the best chance to win. So that might be return for a touchdown. That might be catch every fair catch. It's whatever it takes to win. The punting job is still up for grabs. Thorson's doing a good job. Noah's doing a good job. They're both punting the ball. They're not Jake Camardo, so we're not trying to make them something they're not. But we got to be better at coverage around them. We got to get great hang time, and we got to be able to down the balls, that we punt inside the 10 to flip the field on people. As far as young freshmen helping on special teams, it's kind of the same thing. First place you contribute on the team is usually there. Like Malachi's doing a really good job on some units. Dare Smith's showing up. Here's a 200, 400 meter guy that can run. We're going to look at all those freshmen because before the year's over, they're going to have to help us on teams. The hardest part is when you get an offensive player that's never played any special team position, and maybe he's talented, like a Delp or a Branson, and they never played special teams. In high school, a lot of coaches don't put those kids on special teams, and we need their help because they're 220 to 240 pound bodies that can run.
Kirby, you mentioned Kenny, and earlier this week, Coach Monken and Coach McGee had a lot of positive things to say about him. Just did anything in particular stand out from what he was able to do in the day scrimmage?
He had a great run, but I mean, to be honest, it was great blocking too. I mean, Kenny's had a great camp. I mean, he's picked up pressures, played really physical, caught the ball out of the backfield. I mean, everything that he wants to do at the next level in our offense, we ask him to do, and he's done a good job of that. I think Kenny would be the first to tell you he's got to really work hard to maintain his weight, but take really good care of his body. I think Coach McGee's doing a great job of taking care of Kenny, and he's done a good job. Dejon's had a really good camp. I mean, this guy's playing hard, playing physical, knows his assignments inside and out. He's picking up pressures. I mean, he's catching the ball in the backfield. So, to me, I've been really pleased with what he's been able to do. Kendall has too, but just the last couple of days, we've held him with the hamstring.
Hey Kirby, you touched on the defensive line earlier, but in that battle, how did the offensive line do today, and what more do you need to see from them in the next couple of weeks?
Hard one. I can't measure. I got to watch it. You see so much on the perimeter from where I'm looking. Quarterback decisions, secondary. I mean, we had a couple really good runs. We had a couple tackles for a loss. We had, when somebody does good, somebody does bad, right? So I got to watch it and really see, because we got probably the most battles on our team are going on at the offensive line, especially the interior positions. So we had a musical chairs going, and it's hard for me to say which one was in when good things were happening and which one was in when bad things were happening. That's what we study the tape for. I don't have that fresh off in my memory, but the battle is there at guard, and those guys are competing for it. And I do think we're bigger than we've been at guard, which has usually been an indicator that we can be physical. We got Truss and Tate, which he wasn't there today, and Devin. So when you start putting those body types out there, they're just more massive.
Take two more questions.
There were some reports earlier this week about ticket redistribution to recruits for the Georgia-Florida game. Can you kind of speak on clarity of that, and what kind of impact you foresee that happening, whether for this season or for the future as it pertains to recruiting?
Yeah, you've always been able to do that. You make an independent decision. Each university can decide how they want to do their tickets. And for the first time, we're able to allot tickets, which we do on every neutral site game. We did with Clemson. We'll do it with Oregon. We do it all the time. But per NCAA rules, we're not allowed to see them. We're not allowed to talk to them. We can't do anything with them. So it's really a moot point because they get to go. But what good does that do in terms of recruiting that you don't get to spend time with them and host them and do those? It doesn't change the official visit narrative at all.
Hey, Kirby, I want to ask you about Jalen Carter. You obviously don't control this, but a lot of people think he's going to potentially be a top 10 pick, based off what he's shown so far. How do you think he is handling those expectations, and what has he shown so far this fall?
He's been the most mature he has. He was overshadowed maturity-wise by the other two. He wasn't overshadowed talent-wise by any means, because he is as talented or more talented athletically than those two. Very different guy than those two, but he's matured. So like his practice habits have actually improved this year. He's practicing with more consistency. Now he has to continue to do that, but he is very mature in that he can admit to you and be honest with you when he doesn't give great effort. He's like, "You're right, coach. I didn't do my best on that play." But that happens much less often now. And I think he knows that people's eyes are on him in terms of our other players, and he knows he has to be a leader for our defense. I'm very proud of what he's done. Most practices, he's given us a full day's work and competes. Not like a guy that's been there and done it. He competes like he's hungry, and that's what we challenge him to do. He just got to do that every day, day in and day out, and then maybe affect somebody else and bring them with him. Thanks.